to Morris Emsley. Emsley now for the line. This time around, it looks as though he won't have it. The victors are the Canterbury Bulls, the inaugural bartercard Cup champions of the year 2000, and they are revelling in this situation. Regan Wood breaks with dummy half quickly, cuts it on the short side. Jeremy Smith with a lovely ball up the outside to Miko Filindola. Regan Wood. The champions for the year 2001, the bartercard Cup champions are the Hibiscus Coast Raiders. Live the cutout floater wide. Danger time for Mount Albert to win. The Mount Albert Lions are the bartercard Cup champions of 2002. Still coming at them, the Bulls looking for that field position, which will give them an opportunity. The floater goes all the way to Newton. Does he get it down? The Canterbury Bulls win bartercard 2003 with a nail-biting last-minute try. Masili Manu will take in another four-pointer. Try number 23. And there is no doubt your champions, your bartercard heroes for 2004 are the Mount Albert Lions.
Oh, it doesn't get much better than this. Welcome along to the grand final of the bartercard Cup, the very final grand final in this competition format, and it couldn't have been scripted better. Okay, we've got the reigning champions, the Mount Albert Lions, meeting the former champions, the Canterbury Bulls. It doesn't stop there though, my league guru, Shane Cooper. Of course, both teams have won the competition twice, and both Phil Prescott and Bluey McLennan, they will be looking for the bragging rights, as this is the final in this current competition format.
Well, it's all set up for a great final in it, and two great coaches there that you just mentioned, and a bunch of great players, and I'm sure the players won't be casting back their minds too far. They're just going to be focusing on what's on hand this afternoon here. Well,
of course, the Canterbury Bulls, they won it in 2000, as we saw. Also, 2003, in fact, the first franchise to win the competition. They'll be looking to be the last, and just some fantastic try scorers in this Canterbury team. And one name that stands out in particular, Chris Newton. He's a freak of nature, 23 tries so far this season.
And he's been rewarded with a contract at Penrith Panthers next season, so this is the last we'll see of Chris, especially for this one season next year. He's off to the Penrith Panthers. Scored something like 23 tries this year. He's just a phenomenal try scorer. He's big and strong, and he's raw bone, and we watch him go this afternoon. He's worth the admission price just by himself.
Also, Phil Prescott, plenty of grunt on this side. Of course, he's got Peter Arce in there. Also, Corey Laurie, I should say. And just plenty of try-scoring capability. And, of course, the captain, Shane Byers, just driving everyone round.
Yeah, well, they've got a great all-round team, haven't they? You could go through 1 to 17 and you could tell something good about them all. Tamakaha on the wing there, he's sensational. Metcalf in the centres, he's got plenty of pace. But look for Peter Arce, he's one that's really shone this year. And on the bench, Taylor Palanisi, when you see him come on, he's a size and a half. He's going to be hard to control.
A big unit, eh?
He's a massive unit.
All right, well, if we look at the Lions side, they've also won the competition twice, in 2002 and last season. They have plenty of motivation and plenty of talent, and they're looking for their third title today, Shane. And you just got talent all over the park, whether you go Andreas Bauer, Paul Fisiahi, 18 tries, Arvan Godfrey, Buckingham the captain, 207 points. You could go all day.
Well, you could too, and they've also got a good bench player in Tally Upper there. He's pretty nifty when he comes on, especially against the big forwards that the Canterbury Bulls hold. But what you've got here in the Mount Albert lineup is plenty of pace out wide, so they'll be, I'm sure, moving the ball a little bit wider.
And between Fisihahi, Buckingham and also Puha, you've got over 300 games in the bartercard Cup.
And that counts at big finals, doesn't it? And it's important for that experience to come through. You know, you're going to have to make sure of your mistakes, calm the rest of the team down as much as possible, and get on and with winning what's a great final ahead.
All right, let's go down for the anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding for the New Zealand National Anthem? Thank you.
Hey. Turned off from God defend New Zealand.
And welcome to Bartercard Cup Action 2005. There is Stephen Buckingham. He is such an experienced player, and so much of the fortunes of this Mount Albert squad will be on his hands. Patrick Arvan has been one of the most outstanding players. Glenn Black in control of this, and it's with great pleasure to welcome Peter Ropati. He joins us for the finals broadcast today with Shane Cooper. And Pete, there'll be a lot of emotion out here in the early stages. A big wind as well. Who settles down quickest and gets into their patterned football will no doubt, control the first half of this match. So it'll be an interesting start, Pete.
Well, we've already had an insight into the coaching skills of Brian McLennan. The Mount Albert side coming onto the field. Former players of the Mount Albert side forming a guard of honour to lead them on. So it's the little things that will set the emotion, but so important that they keep it in check.
Full sheet with an early mistake. You would have recognised a number of those Mount Albert guys, some of them old craggy-faced footballers from yesteryear.
Yeah, there's plenty of them around the traps. I'm standing next to two of them myself at the moment, and it's important that Mount Albert gets off to a good start, because I've seen the semi-final and the Canterbury Bulls put 16 early points on them. Mount Albert's had the hard road through. Their body's hurting just a touch more, so it's very important in early stages that Mount Albert get off to a better start.
That's Shane Tamatea, who is tackled now, 12 metres out from the try line. He'll play it back to Shane Byers, so experienced. On to Vince Fuddy. Big as a house and a name to match. Big Vince plays it back now. Byers has a look, squirts it across to Ulungia. That's him here, To'oto Ulungia. He loses the ball though, and it comes back into the hands of Shone Boha. Picks it up for Mount Albert.
And Coops, I am surprised that here you are on such a special day, the day after the election, and you're running around in a blue shirt. I could have expected a little bit more out of you.
Listen, Lady Helen Clark, she's a great Mount Albert person. I was right behind her all the way. As Andros Bauer makes the first semi-break there, out to Buckingham, on to Fabian Suter.
Fabian Suter does a lot of strong work, runs wide off and does the rangy second rower, who plays it back to Regan Wigg. He picks on full Sheed, playing in jersey 18. Sheed, 5 short of halfway. Back it comes to Buckingham, kicking early. In the match that is not on the tackle counter. The kick wasn't good. The opposition came up quickly on Steve Buckingham, put him under pressure, squirts the ball out on the full.
Dale, we talk about emotions and getting those in check very early on in a game that means so much to these players. But it's also about the side that can make the adjustments quicker than the other. When you can consider the conditions that they're playing under, there's a big wind in behind facing Mount Albert. So important that they get the kicking game in order, and that's about adjust to the wind strength as well.
Strong run from Daniel Metcalf. Now it's on to Peter Arce. Arce is still going strong. Arce eventually closed down under Suter. In fact, a wall of Lions defenders put him to ground. 20 out from the try line now. The Canterbury Bulls with an opportunity close as Alex Timor has given great service to this Canterbury Bulls squad. As Dennis mentioned at the top of the program, these two teams, the form teams of this Bartercard competition in its present format. Nice ball popped out the back door, picking up Lucius Tamakaha, and he in turn is bundled into touch. With enthusiasm from the Lions defence.
Yeah, good work by Bernard Perenara there, just taking a couple of men close to the sideline. A little man on big man showed his strength there. I seen him playing a semi-final a week or so ago, and he had big Sunny Fye onto him, and he marked him pretty well also.
Just coming too close, the ball popped out, but there's really nowhere for Tamakaha to go. So ball popped up from Perenara, finds Suter. Suter closed down under the tackle of Laurie, and assisted there by Chris Newton in jersey 4. Peeled away is a familiar ploy here from the Lions. This time Patrick Arvan scoops and runs. Flat ball onto Poha.
What we'll get here, Dale, is two very, very patient sides. We won't see, like we seen in the first game, a lot of ball flung out and about. We'll see two very patient sides here, just face each other off in the opening stands here. Buckingham, first chance to move the ball, gets it out. Robson Godfrey, who does well to take it, but is on the last tackle, handover.
Well, Robinson Godfrey, an excitement machine when given opportunities. Shane Tamatea won't want to do so, and Tamatea
It's interesting, Shane, you talk about patience, and already so early with only 5 minutes gone in the game. Both these sides are still struggling to find their groove and get into the game, where Canterbury come down this end, look to play a little too much footy on the flank, ended up in touch. And Mount Albert looking to try and go for the play on the right-hand side rather than getting to their kick, getting some field position under their belt.
Byer on wing. From the back comes Kane Moneyhitter. Moneyhitter pops the ball back, picks up Byers. Byers keeps it alive. That's O'Brien. Jamie O'Brien with the ball. O'Brien to ground now. 8 from the try line on the 5th tackle for the Canterbury Bulls with a big opportunity. Ball played back to Moneyhitter. He will work it on to Ulungia. Ulungia puts it in behind and struggling with it is Rowan Baxter, but he does really well to get it back out into the field of play.
Yeah, no, it's well documented that I like Rowan Baxter Dale. I think he's really a good player. He's come from the rugby union ranks and really settled into this game of league really good. As Daniel Regan cuts it up for his first hit up of the match.
Phil Sheed now with the ball. He is a tireless workhorse. Did a couple of seasons in France and is back doing the business for his coach Bluey McLennan, who much expectation is on, not just here today for his Mount Albert club, but also in a month or so when the Kiwis line up in the Tri-Nations series. I know most local Kiwi League fans are very pleased to see a local man coaching that Kiwi team. It'll be interesting to see how he's able to get the best out of our Kiwi boys playing overseas. Some spirited running up the middle there from Moneyhitter, who plays it quickly back to Byers. Byers looks for a runner and finds Corey Laurie. Laurie's strong forward, taken by Harry Aonga.
And the viewers are getting insight in the strength of the wind here. They got to their 40-metre mark, and then it kicked out by Buckingham, just finding it just over the 10-15, and within 2 plays they're back on the 20. So they're doing it tough, but they're doing it good at the moment, Mount Albert.
Alex Timor finds attention from Sule Poha. Centerfield 18, Byers works it, flat ball quickly to O'Brien, who keeps it hot and moves it wide quickly out to Chris Newton.
And a great tackle there by Patrick Avara on that right-hand side for Mount Albert. As we all know, Chris Newton's a very solid player, can shrug normally the first tackler away, but found it hard, and a good tackle by Patrick Avara.
He comes with glowing recommendations, doesn't he, Pat Avara? But then Chris Newton, geez, can pop tries in when most can't. Harry Aonga takes it forward and will play it just short of the 30 to Petanara. Cut out ball, wide finds Fisiahi, and he's been quite outstanding today. Oh, this season, I should say, Paul.
Well, he has, Dale, and what he does good is he always gets on the outside of his man. Whether he breaks the line or not, you always find him on the outside of his man, and it has the defence in a lot of confusion. As we see once again the gale force wind, Buckingham and being able to put the ball 20 metres downfield.
But the good thing this time is they get to have a set play, position their defensive line, and just keep chipping it away, looking to find field position by forcing the balls back down. I heard you guys make reference to the wind in the earlier game, worth 10 to 12 points. Still the case, Shane? You've been down sideline?
Well, for sure, it's a strong wind. It's not with the wind, though. Sometimes I think it's better if you're running into the wind for ball control, but it's more about what you do when you've got the wind at your back and how you control the game.
And it's a sort of defence by the Lions, restricting the go forward of the Bulls. Keep chipping it away so they can start finding their kicking game inside their half rather than back down on their own opposition side.
Early days as Shane Tamatea takes it forward, and again, plenty of legs with this Mount Albert defensive line, and so they're getting well into their work. Vince Fadette played the ball back. Kane Moneyhitter keen to get involved with the workload. Fifth and final, both teams have done well to control the ball through their full sets. This would possibly be the 4th full set where we get a kick-off in the end of it. That's been put down and knocks forward, so the Bulls come up with another opportunity. They'll feed the scrum, 12 out from the try line.
Yeah, very unusual. Andres Bauer there putting the ball down, normally one of the safest in the competition under the high ball. We've mentioned it, though, pretty gale force winds up there, moving the ball about.
And this gives the Bulls an opportunity to get some repeat sets, build some pressure. But they need to find some points this time.
Well, look, a pop off, a shrug off, and in for the first try of the afternoon. Number 6, James O'Brien.
Well, he shows a lot of strength there, Dale, doesn't he? He busts out of the tackle, spins away from him and dots down for the first try in the grand final here. Once again, the Canterbury Bulls have got off to the best start. As he feeds the ball to the scrum, does James O'Brien, playing in the number 6 jersey. Shrugs away from, not too sure, didn't pick up the defender there, Dale.
I think it's Andreas Bauer there, but, you know, it's one of those tries you just don't expect to come out of such a circumstance, and that's why it was hardly celebratory. The commentary is James winning to get it, or Jimmy O'Brien, as he prefers to be called.
But Bull fans, I'd be wanting for that try to happen. They were spending so much time up in Mount Albert territory. They've had it all, the field position in the opening 10 minutes of this game with 0 points to their credit. They needed something, because often in the game, momentum changes, field position changes. You've got to make hay while the sun shines for the Bulls. They got that on the back of an error by the Lions and got what they wanted, their points. They can now go back.
So first blood drawn after some good play. They played out their set of 6, put the kick up. Andreas Bauer, surprisingly, put it down, packed the scrum, peeled away from the back of the scrum, and there's the result.
And you
Jimmy O'Brien.
You talk about good starts when you've got 64 to 36% possession. You're playing the game. You're in charge at the moment, the Canterbury Bulls.
He's given great service, acknowledged before the game too for having notched up 100 games in bartercard Cup. Shane Byers, Player of the Year just a couple of seasons ago when his team took out this bartercard championship. Had a little stint across in Australia, but back down in the Garden City now, where he's playing fine football and leading this team incredibly well. Shane Byers. Kick is taken by the man in question. This time it's Vince Fuddy, whose momentum is stopped abruptly. In fact, it's Alex Timor, excuse me.
And one of the rare excursions into Canterbury Bulls territory. The Lions D, they'll be looking to be aggressive, look to restrict their meterage, and hopefully get him to force from well back deep.
Fuddy gets one onto Moneyhead. A nice running here as Shane Tamatea finds himself in some space. This is Shane Tamatea doing very well. Wick eye run. Put him in. 27 out from the try line. With the ball, Chris Newton. Danger man. Flat ball comes to Jimmy O'Brien once again. Here he comes with Alex Timors. Gets them set. Byers decides to turn it around the other side. O'Brien. Flat pass, Chris Newton. Back on the inside. He'll go there, will he? Held up. Shane Tamatea couldn't get the ball down on the 5th and final tackle.
And you have to wonder, Dale, there, why didn't Chris Newton use his left-hand side with an unmarked winger and James Ward outside him? He let it come on the inside, and Andreas Bauer made up a little bit for holding up the man just over the try line. A real let-off there for Mount Albert.
Spot on, Shane, because they were all sliding, but they didn't have the numbers in this simple case of catch and pass. And they would have found themselves in a corner.
Van plays it across now to Buckingham, first receiver. He pushes it along and picks up the second row, Daniel O'Regan. He's quick to play the ball out of dummy half. This is for Siahi. That's with Sheed. Sheed angles. He's met by Fuddy on the halfway line. But he gets the ball away to Rigg. To Wig. Wig now to Sione Puha. Puha has put the ground down the 40-metre centre field. Options both sides for the Mount Albert Lions as they come to Buckingham. He has a step and a thing. Gives it back to Bernard Piranara. Punches one in between the two at the back for the Bulls. Picking it up as James Ward. Turns and faces up. There's Wig. Comes at him. Alvan in assistance and Aonga. O'Brien to dummy half.
Yeah, that was a good option there by Mount Albert, as we see Regan would give a penalty away, not letting the player play the ball. But with Marcus Piranara, a good option, or should I say Bernard Piranara, and looked like he had a good distance in his kick there, kept it low, a little bit lower than what Buckingham is kicking style.
Certainly a warm welcome to all the viewers down in Canterbury, rugby league supporters. Staunchly behind your Bulls team, and well, you might just be very proud of what they've achieved again under their very talented coach Phil Prescott, who will hold the trophy aloft after 80 minutes. That's the question on everyone's lips as we see a surging run coming from Canterbury. Again, it's money hitter. Keen to get involved in the work as they pop the ball out the back to Daniel Metcalf. Metcalf finds some space, gets the ball back on the inside to Ulangia. Toro couldn't hold on to it. Now with Fisiahi. Quincy Ulungia is the halfback for the Canterbury Bulls. As we see Paddy Arvan. Another player comes to the match with big raps.
Well, we've had real two good opportunities there for Canterbury. Normally, the patient side that they are, they'll put these away. In fact, Andros Bauer does really well. Knew Rowan Baxter was going to get to the man and drifted off and moved across and put some pressure on, but that's two dead set tries blown by Canterbury there.
Blown him, but they're starting to unlock the door, and Phil Prescott, he's certainly done the homework. You've got a defensive line that slides. The best way to counteract it is come across the grain. Cut back on the inside.
Perenara puts a kick through the chase of Porter, but the ball beats everyone on the sideline. Packing down a scrum now. 18 outs, 20 in for the Western touch, and it will be a Bulls feed. Now that Rowan Baxter is a real good talent, and you've got to keep your eye on him as we see Wig, Perenara. Nice little through the gap and puts a stab through, but it beats everyone to touch.
We know a lot about Henry and Marcus Perenara, but young Burnet's the one that many are suggesting that will be the best. He's an aggressive little player, loves the contact, good with ball in hand.
This is Newton. Can't get through though. Wrapped up. Bauer and Buckingham. O'Brien feeds Tamatea. On the 30-metre line, the Bulls. Vince Faria. Now back to Jimmy O'Brien, who does well. Jimmy O'Brien does very well.
He does better than Dale. He's got a 40-20 for his side, Dale, so we'll see Canterbury Bulls with head and feed to the scrum. I know he's got a strong wind behind him, but it's something that the Mount Albert Lions are going to have to be aware of. He's got a great kicking game. He started the game off sensationally, hasn't he, Jimmy O'Brien? Got it down for the first try and got a great 40-20 for his side there.
You've got to be thinking to claim those 40-20s, don't you? I think we watched a whole game earlier in the day, the Fox final, not one. So it's certainly something that they'd played for. Here's Canterbury hot on attack through Jimmy O'Brien. There's Newton, well sorted by Andrews Bauer. He's there and claims him, 21 metres out from the try line. O'Brien gets through a power of work on a Tamatea. Shane's progress halted on the 20-metre line. Whare. It's the settler for the big man. Wiggins, Robinson, Godfrey making the tackle as it goes through Ulungia. Eventually put to ground is Peter Assi. And he'll play it 8 out from the try line. Bayer, flat ball. Jimmy O'Brien. That one held on to nicely by Ulungia. Pop through. Danger time, Chris Newton. Forward pass. Flat ball from Corey Laurie to Chris Newton, deemed forward, and it certainly looked that way from here as well.
Yeah, he's got that spot on. Glenn Black is on the last tackle. Should not be a turnover. I know my rule book isn't quite up to date, but as we see a replay of it here, Corey Laurie, definitely forward pass there to Newton.
Good to see Glenn Black back as well, spending a bit of time refereeing the Super League over there in the UK. Wonderful talent in the centre of the field in the referee stakes.
It's got to be good for him, doesn't it, Pete? Overseas experience at whatever level. I think it was a bit of a exchange that was organised by the referees associations of both countries.
No different football players, obviously looking for opportunities to travel the world, do what they do best, and when someone like a referee gets an opportunity as well, it's got to be good stuff.
Send him to Papua New Guinea then. Well, you enjoyed your time up there, didn't you, Pete, playing footy?
Yeah, no, it was all good. The Bulls in good position now, though.
Peter Rose played in all sorts of unusual places. Slovakian Rugby League. Ukrainian. Slow to his feet, lost the ball, look at that. Well, nothing doing.
Shane Tamatea there just worrying about what was happening instead of just getting up too quick and playing the ball. Great field position they were here, just having a little bleat beforehand.
And the Bulls quite now, they're fortunate because they can afford the luxury of coming up with there as something like 5-3 against them at the moment. The completion rate is slightly better, but when they've got all the field possession, they've had the possession nearly 60-40. 80% of the time they've been down this end, they can afford to make mistakes. They can ill afford once the tide turns. The only way to counteract that is starting to get points on the board. 6-0 under these conditions is not a big gap.
As we see Matthew Asawa off Mount Albert's first change.
Looked like the smiling assassin, didn't he, as he lined up to get his ticket to ride. Here comes Andreas Bauer. There's been a nice clash going on out wide with Robinson Godfrey and Chris Nugent too. Both of them super talents. We'll see who comes out on the top after 80 minutes. There's the kick through from Buckingham. Turning. You know, it's you spoke about patience at the start. That's something that I know Bluey McLennan says, even if they concede tries, he says just keep your heads about you, because, well, they know they're up against the stiff wind, Mount Albert, and it can happen in that second half.
But what we're getting in this set of 6 is a good, started with a good kick chase. They restricted to a metre, and so far they're doing well in restricting their go forward. This is probably the best passage of play defensively by Mount Albert at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Pete. They have been very good in this set. 17 on Taylor Pilanesi. The familiar name to this competition as it comes back to O'Brien. Turns, puts it down on his left foot. Beautiful hands from Patrick Arvan. Some silky skills on show. Fine young athletes here at Ericsson Stadium today. Arvan will play the ball as we see number 12, Daniel O'Regan, taking a spell.
Isn't the kicking game such a wonderful weapon? You know, all that energy spent up down the other end, one good kick with the assistance of some wind, and you're back where you started not too long ago.
Seni Patti up to play the ball back to Fale Taliapa, who's on the field as well. This is full sheed, strongly, powerfully. Closed down by the red and blacks, but not before he's made 15-20 metres and also earned his team a penalty. Now this is straight ahead. We watched as they took the tap in the first game. They do in the second as well. Seni Patti now, the big man, built low to the ground, but plenty of power. Drives forward, 22 out from the try line in centre field. He'll serve up the ball. This time it comes out for Hamish. In fact, it's Matthew Arso. Fed by Taliapa. Now with Buckingham, runners on the inside, doesn't go that way. Stays with Perenara, who steps, finds himself close to the line. Perilously close if you're a Canterbury Bull supporter. Here is Rowan Baxter, who makes it look easy. It's been punched in the ribs by a Mount Albert supporter.
Now, how many times, Dale, have we seen Rowan Baxter run from 20 yards to get in the dummy half there? Has used his strength and used his spin turn. He's limping a bit there as he gets back. He's put Mount Albert on the board with their first try after 22 minutes. I know he's been out for a while with a bad broken rib. As we see them probing here, Perenara darts himself. And we'll see Rowan Baxter sprint in there, push the dummy half man out of the way, because there was only one way he was going to go. He's going to pick that ball up and use the spin turn to great effect.
Well, they give Coops the nudge when they got the penalty on the 30 metre. It was going to give them their first opportunity to come down into Canterbury Bulls territory. The first time they come into it in the quarter of the game gone. Perenara, some good feet, some good footwork. Puts him a little unsure as to where it was coming. And then just some good impressive work out of the acting half, determination. But more pleasing is the fact first time up, they go away with the tries all too easy.
And that was on the back of the first penalty that received, Pete. So they had to tap the ball. It was in the middle of the park. There was no way they were going to try and kick it into the sideline. And from the middle of the park, they used a set move, a set plan to go one side of the field. They elected to come back to the left-hand side.
Rowan Baxter will be taking a spell. He's got a little leg injury, but you know, you spoke about how you've been impressed by him all season. Likewise, Shane, he's just sort of got that commitment to the line, hasn't he? Not all wingers would have charged in and demanded that football, but that's the intensity he plays this game at. As we see the kick, it's looking good. It's slotted through. 6-6. 17 to play in the first half.
I think most wingers talk up a good fight, Dale. They all get in there and start him. Yeah, he'd have a crack in there and say Rowan Baxter.
But how injured is he? That's the question. I thought it was an ankle, but it looks more like a thigh injury, doesn't it, Shane?
Yeah, and it's not looking very good. And I've just had a look down here on the bench. We've got all forwards for the Mount Albert side on the bench. So we see Daniel O'Regan coming back on to replace Rowan Baxter. I know he can play out in the centres. I'm not too sure if they'll push him out in the wing just to try and fill the gap while Rowan Baxter gets attended to. Looks like that's what they've done.
Played off the foot there nicely by Robinson Godfrey. As the Mount Albert boys work away from their danger zone, the sun bathing the Ericsson Stadium at the moment. We've had up and down weather here in the city of Sales across the last couple of days. The track is looking very good. If you have just joined us, I can tell you that the Mandarewa Marlins were winners of the Fox Memorial Championship for 2005. They, in the end, had a 10-point win, although they seemed always in control of the match against the Papakura Sea Eagles. So congratulations to Rusty Matua and Richie Blackmore, who are coaching the young Marlins team to their first ever Fox Championship. Well done.
And what a try can do to a side. All of a sudden, the tempo of the Lions has picked up a little. Some quick yards out of the acting half, being able to find a tiring defence. They find themselves getting their second penalty in the game, and now on the 30-metre zone. Good position.
Up to play the ball, O'Regan, as it comes through Pedinara. Not a great pass from young Bernard, but it's picked up nicely in the end by Matthew Arceau. Matty will play the ball, or won't actually. He made a little blue, so we'll pack the scrum down, says referee Glenn Black. 6-6, 15 to play.
Yeah, what Mount Albert's done, Dale, they've moved Harry Anonga out of the back of the scrum and put him into the right centre. And they've moved Robinson Godfrey out here on the left-hand side to cover Rowan Baxter's wing while he gets attended to. I think he's gone up the tunnel for some assistance.
You mentioned how they've got just backs in their reserve roster, just forwards, I should say. But they're so interchangeable now, aren't they, Pete? A lot of the centres can play second row and vice versa.
And I think also what you're looking off the bench is impact. You know, players that can come on, have the athleticism, the mobility to make instant impact. We often talk about the days of people coming off the bench and just maintaining the momentum. You want a little bit more out of them now. Players who can specialise and create something.
Now with the Bulls. Going to step it up a gear. Lucas Tamakaha wrapped up. 16 is Ross Tootie. He's claimed. Pedinara over the top. Bit of an eclipse momentarily as the ball is launched high. As Bauer gets it. Bauer sees centres a hole. Comes forward, tackled by his opposite, Kane Moneyhitter, who's been impressive.
Well, referee Glenn Black saying he never called Howard there. It's Rowan Baxter had the entitlement to get up and run, and he elected to play the ball. I'd like to have a closer look at it. What most coaches ask for is to get to the ground, get up quickly and play the ball, and that's exactly what he's tried to do. Well, he looked like he was tackled to me.
Well, I would have thought, and this is where you really get it going, and you really get enough under the bonnet to suggest that, you know, what are these guys doing? Sometimes his progress had been stopped. It was over. He understands the rules. He understands that the next call that's going to come is play it. So he anticipates that, and he does exactly that. Good on you, Glenn Black.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing sometimes for the players, isn't it?
Well, it's not confusing. We know it. Oh, I just said we. Geez, Coops, not us.
So Jimmy O'Brien from in front of the posts and just on the 30-metre line will look to add 2 points to the scoreline. 6-all at the moment. Is it good? Yes, it is. 8-6 the scoreline here in the final.
You know what was good on Mount Albert's behalf, I'm sure, is that they didn't argue with the referee Glenn Black. They accepted the decision, and I'm sure they'll get something later on in the match that will go their way.
Well, it's something that they've always prided themselves on, Mount Albert. It's about just copping it on the chin and getting back there. Absolute gentlemen of the game, you guys.
That's it, Pete. That's what I was trying to allude to. Discipline.
Keeping their cool. Plenty of experience in both these squads. Less here. Byers takes it, finds Taylor Pilanesi. He's taking the tackle of Senipati, but he still has a free arm, doesn't pop it up. Looking for some runners here and a little flat-footed to make much impact. A short run. It's Ross Tootie. Byer decides to go himself, and meets his opposite number. Regan Wigg, if you might have seen at the start of the match, was already won a barter card with Hibiscus Coast. Well, as well as last year, of course, with Mount Albert. So since the competition started in the year 2000, both these two teams have won twice each and once with Hibiscus Coast. So form decided the finalists of this season's match, as well as Patrick Arvan is reeled in by Pilanesi.
Don't walk forward, don't milk it.
Out of dummy half, Taliapa.
Get out of that! Get out of that! Walk around in it! Take players away, I've got it. Bring him out. Come out to me. With that player right here. So, when I play the whistle, you keep them apart.
We'll have a listen to Glenn Black down there.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that is bounced, but there'll be no more benefit of the doubt if we keep them down. It's bounced up, you'll have no more benefit of the doubts.
I'm confused with the benefit of the doubt. It's a rule that we haven't seen interpreted all year. Just put them on report. Or maybe there is no report code anymore.
That's a good point.
Because the comp ends, doesn't it, after this?
Okay, back to the action. Phil Sheed plays it back now for Regan Wigg. Now for Petanara, finds Buckingham. Buckingham closes down to the tackle of Laurie. Over the top, assisted by Pilanesi. Plays the ball back to Taliapa. He finds on the Boyle, Matthew Asuo. Matty will play the ball on the 20-metre line. First receiver, Buckingham. Crossfield bomb, where are the chasers? Plenty of hang time. And in the end, Quincy Ulungia is there to take the ball. Now Lucas Tamakaha.
Yeah, I'll just give you a few of the tackle count here. Dale O'Regan with 12 and 4 hit-ups. Regan Wood with 17 tackles has been the busiest for Mount Albert. On the other side of the ledger, Shane Byers with 14 tackles and 2 hit-ups. Ussie with 12 tackles and 4 hit-ups. And Corey Lowry with 12 tackles and 5 hit-ups been the busiest.
What's interesting as well, Coops, when you look at the amount of possession that the Bulls have had, and so far it's 55% of it, they're not surprising that they're coming up with a couple of double figures in defensive work, and a lot of that is about their completion rate, perhaps not being as good as they'd want.
This is where Shane Byers is very good. He claims meterage on hand. Has a quick look up and punches forward himself. Well, seems to grab 10. Back on the inside to Pelanesi, who's hard to put to ground. Eventually he is under the tackle of Buckingham on the 20-metre line. Slowly to his feet. Money hitter. Across he comes to Ulungia. They keep the ball alive. Great running there from Canterbury, but in the end the ball is spat out. And Patrick Arvan picks it up. Sam Wallace on the field in jersey 15. That's him there. And this is Daniel O'Regan. Big tackle as well from Ross Tuddy.
Yeah, well read by Bernard Perenara there. Really coming off his man and clamped the play down. Canterbury elected to try and run it on the last tackle, turn the ball over.
Robinson Godfrey plays it back now to Bernard Perenara. Referee says that the Canterbury player impeded Perenara's ability to pick the ball up, and so the penalty going to Steve Buckingham. We'll let things slow down just a tick while he kicks towards the western touch.
On me. Here out. Right, no, 16, what the play? Hold. Work on the inside, boys.
As you can see here, Godfrey gets up to play the ball and, well, sort of just the wrong spot at the wrong time. Ross Tuddy.
Yeah, you've got to recognise the Bulls are entitled to feel hard done by there as well. Yeah, you suggest that you just get straight up. It's exactly what he was trying to do.
This is Sheed, turns it on to Perenara. Nice ball across to Buckingham, although his outside backs overrun it just a touch. Taliapa into dummy half. Gets the ball onto Paddy Arvan, and that's dinged forward. We'll have another nosy at that. Wouldn't have been much in it, but he was quick to make his decision, referee Glenn Black.
Yeah, we see Patrick Avar always lingering around the play the ball area, a little overhand basketball pass. Looked okay to me, I would let it go.
That's what I'm doing now.
Both coaches will be a little disappointed at the moment. Both the sides just struggling to put some set plays together, struggling to get some form of consistency, momentum. All looking to be able to build some pressure and come up with a play. Mount Albert had an opportunity on the back of the penalty. Bulls down the other end looking to force. 7 minutes ago on the clock. A try now by either. We'll see them well going into the break at halftime.
Surely would. Back to back is what you're after, isn't it, Pete? And you know, we had some good control early in the match, but they seem to be turning it over.
Well, the game's about being able to build pressure, and on the back of that pressure, find some points. If you can't put yourself in a position to build it, it becomes a bit messy and a bit scrappy. The Bulls go wide again, well spotted.
And Newton was there looking menacing as they still look pretty tough and rugged out wide. And on the inside is Newton, but it's gone forward. He's annoyed, but I think if he gets a chance to see the replay, he too would agree with the decision. It's happened twice, maybe 3 times to him though, Shane.
Yeah, what a barnstorming run. This was Peter Russi, I think, with the ball in hand, shrugs a couple off. Harry Anonga comes in. He whacks Buckingham out of the way. He's got plenty of strength, hasn't he, Arcee? And that one just going slightly forward.
It was a good run by Peter Russi. Looking forward to seeing Chris Newton with that ball in hand, though, because it's a memorable sight when he's on song. This is Robinson Godfrey, and he's got a ton of talent as well, but he's claimed from behind, and a very hard-working money-hitter. Kane, that's in there as well. Arvan gets it back to Godfrey again. Sammy Wallace is there to stop his progress. We'll play it on the 40-metre line.
And what you're looking for now out of Mount Albert, 5 to go, is just get through to that set, maybe look to get a repeat on the back of a good kick, and then get another crack in it. Deny the opportunity to the Canterbury Bulls to go back down the other end.
Phil Sheed plays the ball back. Now it comes to Taliapa. He's in good field position. 5th and final tackle, though. What will they go for as it comes with Ruben Wigg? Regan Wigg gets it back to Sheed. Sheed to Taliapa. Hot ball wide, Petanara. Stab to the end goal, doesn't get there. And Ulingia gets hold of it, and the spinnies to ground. And the Mount Albert boys come to close him down well and truly. 5 out from the line.
Ordinary end to a set of 6. They never put themselves in a position to even find an opportunity to get a repeat there. All looking for the big play, which would find the 4-pointer. Patience.
Yeah, there's never enough weight on the kick to get it into the end goal, but you know, this Kane Moneyhead and Ulangia have been doing really good work, the smaller players for this Bulls team. As the wing James Ward does well with a strong run to the 30-metre line.
Bernard Perenara in that case was perhaps the go-to player. He had the kick up his sleeve ready to go, but it was more of a last-minute play to find something out of nothing.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't go to Buckingham first off. They elected to go to big Phil Sheeds, and he put everyone else under pressure after he'd received the ball. But it's always a fine line, Pete, I think, between a good kick and a bad kick. How many times we see the ball just going over the dead ball area? It's a pretty tricky, especially in these conditions. It can be a hard job.
That penalty going against the number 3 for Canterbury, and that being Daniel Metcalf, was opposite Robinson Godfrey.
Your main, Shane, I think, wasn't so much being critical of the kick, but more the fact that there didn't seem to be a willingness to set up and look for a repeat. It was more about let's get the 4-pointer. But they get another opportunity now with a penalty. Piggyback back out of their half. 3 to go on the clock. They'll come close.
Yeah, 5-2 to penalty count to Mount Albert.
Wigg takes the tap. Sheed is there to help out.
He's taken the ball in a few times. Let's have a look at Phil Sheeds.
That's a clever run as well there from Regan Wigg. Stats for Phil. Haul up time.
Can't see his name on the stat sheet. There he is down there at number 18. 15 tackles and 13 hit-ups.
Yeah, well, he has been busy, hasn't he? Here's O'Regan. A reminder that Phil Prescott, while he's credited as the coach, he always likes to acknowledge his assistant coaches down in Canterbury, being Brent Stewart and Dave Perkins. And say thanks for their efforts as well to the management squads for both teams. For Canterbury, Bruce Milne, Steve Wood and Malcolm Hum, and Peter Lavia and Nigel Rattray for the Lions. Little knock on there.
And this
Countdown
time
towards half-time. 8-6, the scoreline with the Bulls leading the Lions in the first half of this Bartercard Cup final.
and this time they go straight to Buckingham, the go-to. Comes up with a kick. Unfortunate for the Canterbury defender there. Just not being able to retrieve and bring it in.
Yeah, great opportunity here. Just under 2 minutes to go with Buckingham feeding and right in the middle of the park, going the short side, trying to get a one-on-one.
I don't know, Cooks, if you saw it. We'll come back to it.
Here's a chance for the Lions as they come close to the line. Will they get it? No, not this time. Referee says Buckingham lost the ball. Steve Buckingham incensed by that decision.
Oh, he's giving Artie Clark a spray, isn't he?
There's Buckingham. Let's see why he's annoyed.
Too much of it. I warned you.
Yeah, he's entitled to blow up there. Certainly no sign of losing control of the football. But Coops, you talked about it right at the start. It's about how you keep it in check. They now find themselves on defense 30 metres up the field.
Well, this will hurt with 1 minute to go. Well, it might not hurt them as Fabian Soda picks up the ball from a dropped pass. Sini Patti takes it in. Mount Albert with the last opportunity. It's going to in and throwing here.
Yes, only 45 seconds in it though as Taliapa gets hold of the football. It's been an interesting first half. Sort of nullified each other's attack, both teams. On some good defensive work, but I'm sure it'll open up a little bit more in the second 40.
Coops, I was going to raise it before when Mount Albert had the scrum down the other end there. We saw Benji Marshall a few weeks ago screw the scrum right around, put the 5'8" out wide, create a big gap, and then off he came. Old school play.
Yeah, it might be an old one, but it's a good one, Pete, isn't it? It's in,
Perenara puts the ball through for Arvan, who comes through and scores on the bell. Ref says good. They couldn't have hoped for a better result a minute out from the hooter, and there is the hooter. That's the half-time call. 10-8 the scoreline, but we've got a kick still to come as the Lions in the very last seconds of play. Here it comes through into Perenara's hands, but Arvan showed the greatest commitment to the football, and that was a very fine try to wrap up the first half.
yeah, I know Peter Rowe will be pleased with this because this was set play. This is what Peter was trying to talk about a little bit not 2 minutes ago. It was organised that one and it was put through, and Patrick Gavar showed great commitment.
Well, it was everyone understood it as well, yeah?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for the attempted conversion to add the extras at the moment. Steve Buckingham was so annoyed with the decision that had the scrum set.
Away with a penalty, they go back down the other end, and to be able to come back, you know, you talk about luck, you can't coach for luck, but if you do all the preparation, then you know if you've done your job before coming into a big game that more luck's going to come your way than not. Well done, Mount Albert, well anticipated.
10-8, here's the kick, got the extras, the wind is strong and it's waved away, so we go to the break here in the Bartercard Cup final for this year. It is a close one. 2 tries each, and we had tries to O'Brien, and 10-8 is the scoreline. Sorry, it's not 2 tries at all, is it? So 10-8 the scoreline, the Lions against the Bulls at halftime of Bartercard Cup 2005. Hot dogs and wind. Canterbury supporters have come up from the Garden City, support their Bulls. And it's just a little explanation about the number 18 jersey that Phil Sheed's been wearing. He's wearing that number because the number 10 jersey has been retired. You may recall we've had some sadness during the year in Bartercard Cup with the loss of 2 of our big men from the game. That being Ben Vellini, who had an aneurysm, we're told, at training for North Harbour, and sadly passed away. And just a week later, Paolo Tiniselli, who was the prop forward for the Mount Albert Lions, he passed away too. He'd played footy, gone home, gone to sleep, and just didn't wake up. And so there was tremendous sadness around the Mount Albert Cafe at that time. And to compound things as well, Johnny Ackland, who you can see on screen, he lost his dad. And the club, out of respect to Paolo Tiniselli, retired the number 10 jersey. And that's how come Phil Sheed is wearing jersey 18. But the nice thing about it was that in the lineup of, or the honour guard that was formed by the Mount Albert team. There's Mike McLennan there. Paula Tinaselli's dad was wearing jersey number 10. Proud club, and they'll be pretty pleased, I would think. Guys coming into the second half, they seem to be gathering some momentum late in that first half that maybe send out some ominous signs for the Bulls.
Well, some ominous signs when they played so much of the first half in their own half, and in particular restricted to a 20-metre penalty count, gave them a little bit more leverage, a little bit more access into the opposite side, and whenever they got up there, invariably they came away with a point. So 10-8, expect Buckingham to come to the fore in the second 40 with a strong kicking game. And just on another note, interesting technology. It's amazing how it gets information to you quickly. The text just come through from player manager Peter Brown. Brownie, I know you're out there watching. You have a special interest in a lot of these youngsters that are performing in the Bartercard Cup. And just reminding me that the youngster, then Patrick Avan, 17 years of age. So a wonderful effort by a young, promising footballer out there this afternoon for the Mount Albert side.
And while we're talking about promising young footballers, let's give Daniel O'Regan a rap. He's at the same age, a nephew of mine, so he's going great guns at the moment.
And he signed up with my brother's agency, I believe. You guys are crooked.
Them row parties, you can never keep them down, can you?
Oh,
John Row Party.
We're only here to help you, Mount Albert people. Wherever we can, we will help you, Shane.
Guide us in the right direction, I'm sure, Pete.
There you go, and the rain looks as though it's about to come in over Ericsson as well. So we could see a very interesting second 40. Add the rain to the wind that we've got at the moment. We all know just how much tougher the game of football becomes.
Well, it's important, I think, Pete, here that Mount Albert don't rely on the wind. They have to go into the second half with the same enthusiasm they showed in the first half. Okay, if they can benefit off a 40-20 or the strong wind behind them, that's good, but they can't rely on it.
Checking through some of the stats while we've got a quick chance. So we see that Regan Wigg, not surprisingly, has racked up 23 tackles in that first half. Buckingham continues to be busy defensively. He's picked up 16 tackles. And Phil Sheed, 15 and 14 hit-ups. So it's been a big effort from the Lions. Across there on the Bulls, major stats man there would be Shane Byers. He's had 17 tackles. 15 tackles to Ussie and Laurie as well. And Metcalf out wide's racked up 14 in that first half. Here we go into the second half. 10-8's the scoreline. It's locked together. Two teams, the form teams of this competition over the last 5 years. And the Canterbury Bulls with early possession. And Shane Byers again grabbing an impressive 10 metres out of the dummy half spot. James Ward at the dummy half now. Didn't see too much of James in that first half, but not because he's unwilling, just the ball didn't seem to come his way often.
What I've enjoyed so much in 40 minutes of football, these two, at times both guilty of coming up with errors or perhaps not being able to build what you want from them. But you can see that they're well-drilled sides. They know their structure, they know what they want at the right end of the football field. We've seen Canterbury Bulls coming out of this set deep in their quarter, looking for just simple, effective dummy half runs, get to it, they come up with a penalty, give them good field position to go on.
Well, you're right there, Pete. They're well coached, aren't they? Both sides are well coached. They've played each other a few times this season already. And the coaches, it's a real battle about the coaches really too, isn't it? Interesting to see that Rowan Baxter still on the reserve bench there. I'm not too sure if he's got his boots on, but we're more than likely we won't see him again this afternoon.
Well, both coaches come to the match with fine pedigrees. Of course, we know that Bluey McLennan will be in charge of the Kiwis. On the other hand, the man he's opposing today, Phil Prescott, has the New Zealand residents team, which will be playing the Jim Beam Cup selection.
And I may be wrong, but someone might correct me. I see Benson also has signed a 2-year deal to coach in England with Lee. So well done to him as well.
Tony Benson?
Goes. Absolutely.
Good one. Here are the Bulls, getting dangerous, keeping the ball alive. Jimmy O'Brien's trying to get rid of it, but he can't. And the turnover is affected. Patrick Arvan plays it back now. Andreas Bauer. Bauer closed down on the tackle by the number 13. The back there, Corey Laurie. Now it comes through Terenara at the Fisiahi. Shadowing Fisiahi is Ulungia, but he gets the ball away to Robinson Godfrey, who in turn gets it back to O'Regan. His progress is halted on the far side of the field. Fisiahi probing. Piranara to dummy half now onto Sini Putty, and he was well sorted in that tackle too, but Taylor Pelinesi, excuse me. And a late tackle on Buckingham, well late. And Steve playing possum or what? He's still down. James Ward at the back. Referee says it's okay then, so play on.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be able to pick when you need to get up straight away as to whether or not the referee's going to anticipate or react to it. He made it quite clear that it was all good, move on.
Strong running, the Bulls springing their step through Peter Hussey.
You know, I've got no problem with that, guys. You know, he's a big fella, as Taylor Pelinesi. He must be 17-odd stone. He's got his head down there. He knew what he's going to do. He can't disappear. He can't get out of the way.
O'Brien with a floater out to Chris Nugent, danger man, but he has been well kept in check by the Lions so far in the match. O'Brien, dummy half, works it across to Corey Laurie. Laurie decides he'll put it skyward, and that's not a bad-looking kick. The chase is all important.
0, back to 1, 0. Handover.
Zero tackle, handover, quick play of the ball. Now it comes back to O'Regan. O'Brien is there for O'Regan, the ball is gone. Taylor Pelinesi gets it.
A lot more aggressive defensive side coming in from the Canterbury Bulls so far in the opening second.
O'Brien, first receiver. Nugent is there. They don't use him this time. Over the top he goes with the ball on to James Ward. Ward with it. Ward looking for a way through up the middle. Ward to ground now. 12 metres out, right in front of the posts. Big chance now for the Canterbury Bulls as it's played back to Byers. Gets it on to Ross Turi. Straightens. 5 out from the try line now. Big chance. The Bulls. Byers. Across goes Ulungia. Still hot. Wide. Danny Metcalf. That's Tamakaha. Feeds it back to Byers. Byers, grubbers. But it comes back in the hands of Ulungia. Now it's back with Taylor Pelinesi.
2 on there, not in the field right. They don't really want there's 2 there. Wait, Shane. Give it back.
Well, it looked like all for a try there as big Taylor Pelinesi. He said it
Stay we are.
2 people in the tackle were stripped. I think that's all the amount it had to do, though, because Big Taylor would have scored it.
Wide to Newton. Newton closed down effectively by Patrick Alvan. Dummy half is money hitter. He works it across now for O'Brien. O'Brien keeps it alive out to Laurie. Laurie still going. Laurie numbers wide. Taylor Pelinesi. Pelinesi is there! Taylor Pelinesi is there!
Wonderful try there by the Canterbury Bulls. Some good setup work on the back of some solid defensive work. That got him in position with being able to steal. Denied moments before. Questioned there as to whether or not there was a shepherd. You heard the referee call there. No one was taken out. Denied moments before with the double strip. Not to be this time.
Yeah, well, I think he was having a little bit of a breather out wide there, Pete. Once he got stripped of the ball, he thought, I'll just put my hands on me heads here and have a little minute. But he found himself with the ball. And from that far out, a one-on-one against Piranara, he was always going to win that battle.
But the most impressive part is how they've started this second 40. Nordy made reference to it defensively. I think they've been outstanding. Their kick chase has been solid. Their line's been good. They're sliding. They're reading the inside work well. And being able to come up with the odd steal as well.
Jimmy O'Brien looks to add the extras. Taylor Pelinesi named in the New Zealand resident squad as well. So, along with his Canterbury Bulls teammates, the man who passed the ball, in fact, is there also. His name's Corey Laurie. Others in there, Peter Hussey and Chris Nugent. Yeah, he's a wonderful talent, Taylor. And another who's given fine service to the Canterbury Bulls over the years.
And Dale, he's another one that also had some time in Australia. I'm not too sure which club he was with, but he's come back a lot trimmer halfway through the season, and Coach Phil Prescott had no hesitation in including him in the Canterbury squad.
Geez, I've never enjoyed being the one to hold the ball.
It looks rather.
I don't know about you guys, but I've never enjoyed it.
Well, you've never been a goal kicker, Pete, so you had no option, mate. You had to get down there, I suppose.
Oh, no, we used to get down there early on a Tuesday or Thursday and demand that ball when it didn't matter.
So 12-10, not much in this match, Shane.
Well, we've got both teams that are very patient. You know, it was never going to be a one-sided scoreline here, was it? It's going to go down like this to the wire, I feel.
Regan Wig, tireless workhorse. He's just looking for that little bit extra that determines the champions from the tries. James Ward on the boil. Strong hit up. Shadowed and claimed by Van and Fabian Suter. Quick play the ball now for Chris Newton. Newton comes at Sheed. Gets past Suter. Closed down by Seni Patti. Will play it 42 from his own line. This is better running now from the Canterbury Bulls. Spring in their step as Peter Assi is tackled on the halfway line. So they've worked through that 4 plays of the set. Byers will do the same. And now look for a decent kick as they position themselves to do so. Jamie O'Brien is there. And his left foot puts it wide. Not many Mount Albert defenders out there. If the Bulls come up with it, which is what happens, they do come up with it, but they do need to get the ball away. It's been touched. Play on, says the referee, as Shane Tamatea gets up to play the ball. Good run too for the number 3, Metcalf. Metcalf is closed down and will play the ball 5 out from the try line, about 10 to the right-hand side of the post as Byer comes across now to O'Brien. O'Brien looks for a runner. Sammy Wallace is there. He doesn't use him, but Assi is there. This time it's O'Brien. Will look to free his arm still. O'Brien can't, and he's flung to ground in the tackle of the loose forward, Harry Aonga, and also with Buckingham. Now, back up on the inside from Wollongia. Picks up 16, Ross Tutti, but he won't make it to the line. Tutti back slammed right underneath the sticks. Plays it back for Byers, who feeds it nicely. Out wide, Wallace back on the inside. They're coming, changing the angles across the face of the goal. Now spinning, going. Corey Laurie did a leg. Was it a leg injury or a down trail? That's about all it was there. We come to O'Brien. Leaves it behind, turns. Puts it back into the end goal. It's been played at. It comes up into the hands of Andreas Bauer. And none of it survived that onslaught as Paddy Alvan takes the ball from dummy half and eventually closed down and loses the football. Referee says stripped. Mount Albert will be pleased at that call.
Oh, they'll be very pleased because they've been on the caution the last 15 minutes. They did very well with back-to-back set of 6 there to hold the Canterbury side out at a very important stage in the match.
Yeah, they've scrambled well, Mount Albert, to be able to counteract that, but can't find anything more impressive. The way the Canterbury side are coming off their line, they're able to go through their set and get down the other end. They've been outstanding in that department. They now match up as Mount Albert brings it and finds it on the 40-metre, just short.
The ball played, Taliapa on a Sheed. Sheed, a very steady influence there. And once again, 15 hit-ups. Onto the 3rd tackle we come. This is Fabian Suter. Wrapped up by his opposite number, Assi. Played a couple of metres inside the Bulls' half. Taliapa puts the foot on the pedal and guns straight ahead as Wig feeds for Buckingham. There's Pedinara, nicely worked pass wide and finds Robinson Godfrey. Turns it on the inside for Fisiaki, who can't control.
Good play there by Bernard Pedinara. He put it on. He found the pass, gave him an opportunity to get on the outside of his man. Well set up. Does well.
Come on, Mount, you can do it.
Yeah, no option but to flick it in, or she would have went into touch. Robinson Godfrey with plenty of pace.
That ball from the scrum base not good and driven into the end goal is Jimmy O'Brien. The pass was,
well, you could have done better by giving it to Buckingham and he could have kicked it there for you. Disappointing play there by the Bulls. But a real sense of the tide starting to turn again. Canterbury have enjoyed so much of the opening stanza. Mount Albert now in good field position to be able to start to apply a bit of pressure of their own.
Drop out by Jimmy O'Brien, just a 30-metre one as Phil Sheed takes it, straightens, tackled by Laurie. Dummy half is Taliapa. There's the workhorse and 8's on the Poha, who gets it on to Fabian Suter. Suter wrapped up by Newton, over the top O'Brien. Plays it back now to Harry Aonga. The big Lucy again claimed from behind O'Brien, enthusiastic in defence, and 15 up from the try line and 10 to the right-hand side of the posts. Here we go now with Buckingham, who works it to Pedinara, gets it on again out wide there to, I think it's O'Regan, who finds Godfrey, who's wrapped up out of dummy half, goes Wig on to Fisiahi, try-scoring machine, he's close to the line, but he's going plenty sideways, Paul. Gets the pass out to Sione Poha, then he goes to Fabian Suter. Then crossfield play, fifth and final tackle it is. Poha, Buckingham, little kick, a chase is needed, and the chasers, while coming through, were a bit late, and first to the ball, Quincy To'olungia.
A lot of lateral movement there by the Lions. They could do well to find someone just to get a little bit of depth on it and straighten it up. Even when they look to go to their outside game, there's a sense of maybe just an extra metre back and come onto the ball, may find some better success.
As we see James Ward there giving his forwards a rest, coming off his wing.
Taylor once again, Pilanessi is in the clear, chasing him down, Patrick Arvan. He will have the wheels on Taylor. But again, a grand effort from Pilanessi.
That's called straightening it up.
Now the Bulls are good hands as well to Newton. Newton on the boil. Newton gets it out wide and picks up Scott Harrell. Harrell back on the inside. Laurie is there. Corey Laurie is there for the Bulls.
You won't see many better tries than that, Dale. Great work. Who done really well there was Scott Harrell. He was going to go into touch. He flung it back on the inside. And Corey Laurie was a man, as all good loose forwards, always moving where the ball is. We see the initial bust here by Taylor Palanizzi. Went through a couple of defenders. Shot Patrick Andres Avar out of the way. But the determination of Patrick Avar was always going to get him down. And from there they went to Patrick's wing over here on the right-hand side. He was missing. Newton put a good ball out to Harrell, and he looked like he was going to go into touch, and the ever-present Laurie's dots down.
The best part about this game is two worthy contenders having a crack at the title. Mount Albert go down the other end. There was a lot of movement. The Bulls come up with a mistake. They get a repeat, but just as quickly, Canterbury go down the full length of the field and come up with a try. Two worthy contenders here this afternoon.
How important is this kick?
(16-10), Jimmy O'Brien up against a pretty heavy wind. And no go this time around, so just the 6 points in it. 16-10, 24 to play here in grand final of the bartercard for 2005. There is your try scorer, Corey Laurie.
But when you look for individual skills, there was none better than that play when the wingman going into touch, able to offload, put it on the inside pass, and there's your recipient. I'll have it, thank you very much.
So the Canterbury Bulls winding themselves up into a position to take this title yet again. 16-10, now there's still just the one try in it. Laurie just checking his try-scoring stats during the year. He's had 18 appearances, 13 tries. This
All that you want out of a big man, to do what you want, get me out of trouble, get me up the other end of the field, and do it the best way possible and the fastest way possible, and that's up the middle.
Talanese is you're telling the riders. O'Brien decides, let's put it in behind. It's Charter here for the bounce. Let's get the bounce. The Bulls going for another. Metcalf gets the bounce. The bounce from hell if you're a Lion, but the bounce into the arms and straight to the line if you're a Bull. And Daniel Metcalf was there to pick up 4 more.
We've talked about a lot of lucky bounces or the run of the ball going where you perhaps least expect it if you're a defender. But we've mentioned at halftime as well that if you do the training, if you do the preparation, then you make sure that it does come your way more often than not. And the Bulls right now, they're on fire. You talk about scoring tries, and what you do next matters the most. They've done exactly that.
Well, what I've seen there, Pete, is the more aggressive player running to the ball, and we had that Metcalf man able to hang a little bit back there. If you attack the ball, most of the ball and most of the territory in the second half. They haven't let Mount Albert get back into the game.
And that's when you look to the number 9 as well, Wig, for the Mount Albert side, being called upon to do a lot of defensive work. 35 tackles so far in the game of football. Yeah, when you look at completion or possession between the two, now going 60-40, that's how much it's changed in the last 20 minutes. It was evens at half-time, 50-50, now swayed all the way back. Very much a replay of the opening 40.
And what I've noticed, Peter, is the ability of the Canterbury sides to get out of dummy half now. The bigger Mount Albert forwards are starting to tire a little bit. They've had to make 239 tackles compared to Canterbury's 162, so the Canterbury side's got a little bit more left in the tank, and they're starting to...
And it's those sort of things as well that assist you to get out and make life a little bit easier, particularly when you've got a 12-point advantage.
See, that work
you've got to wait till they say held. You've got to wait till they say that you can take the kick. We may know what we need to do, but just wait. So you wait, Dale.
Yes, well, it must be frustrating sometimes for the guys on the field too, because they talk about wanting the game to have pace, and then all of a sudden asking you to pause.
But in saying that, I don't think Glenn Black has done a bad job here this afternoon. He's certainly one of the best that we've got. And I like the likes of Artie Clark coming through. Dave Paquito as a referee starting to find some form as well.
Just checking some of the tackle stats. You've already mentioned 35 for Wig. I mean, 29 for Buckingham is busy. And Metcalf, the try scorer out wide in jersey 3 for the Bulls, has racked up 15 himself. So doing some good defensive work and helping out his forwards. As Shane Byers finds himself on the 20-metre line, and they're hot on attack once again, the Bulls. This time through big Vince Whare, who plays it back again to Byers. Byers looking for a runner, and this time finds Alex Timor. Timor to ground, 5 out from the try line. Surely not. The Lions would do it tough if they concede another try here. We're 20 minutes out from full time. There's a 12-point ball game as O'Brien comes close, and O'Brien spins. Hopes to get to the line, not close enough. Byers has some trouble. He puts a pass out that wasn't good, and Fisiahi comes up with it. Fortunately for the Lions, they'll be able to work away from their danger zone now.
You were spot on with that, Dale, that the Lions could ill afford to allow Canterbury to score another one. Make it 18-point differential with 20 to go. Makes it all too tough. The Lions, I would say right now, Coops, they need to be the next to score.
Well, they need a 40-20 here. They just had a mistake for the play the ball. You cannot play the ball forward. And this is exactly what Andreas Bauer has done then. So it gives Canterbury another opportunity. Just under 20 minutes left in the match.
I've heard Steve Buckingham before saying to his boys in difficult times, don't panic, stick to the game plan, and really they could take that advice here. Just stay solid in defence, although they are being threatened big time at the moment through Sam Wallace. Wallace really issuing the challenge at the moment, the Canterbury Bulls. Dummy half Ulungia comes across to O'Brien. Looks up on the inside, finds Fuddy. Big Vince Fuddy is wrapped up by Taliapa. Again, buys O'Brien. O'Brien looks wide, finds Laurie, the try scorer from a few moments back. And Laurie can't free his arms, and he's wrapped up in the tackle of Matthew Asuo. Out of dummy half goes Kane Moneyheader. There is Jimmy Ward. And that is the 6th tackle. I'm sure his connections would be disappointed that he hadn't either heard the call or opted to do little about it as Patrick Arvan comes forward.
Well, if you're going to hand over the ball, Dale, it's not a bad spot to hand the ball over a metre from your try line, especially with the Mount Albert really struggling to get out of their own half here. The aggression from the Canterbury side has really picked up. Big Hamish Reed's on the park for the first time, been out with a long-term injury.
Yeah, the body language of the two are very contrasting at the moment. Canterbury full of running. The Lions are just hanging in there, looking to get out of their half. And when you mention Wallace, big cheerio to Wardo, Wayne Wallace down there in Christchurch. Hope all's well down there, buddy.
Using the wind effectively this time with the kick. Driving the Bulls back into their red zone as the pass across to Kane Moneyheader. Some of the Mount Albert players thinking that it was a bit suspect.
Well, you get a kick down the other end, you've got the wind behind it, and you get some good yardage on it. But you got to back it up with a solid kick chase. So important now that you find some D that restricts them. Would have been so much better if you could have pinned him into the corner.
James Ward plays it, Byers feeds it. I think that's, we see the number 2, Lucas Tamakaha. He's coming from the right wing to put a hit up on.
I've liked how Canterbury's gone about their business this afternoon. Coming out the mistake there, but you could see they were just settling into the job again that was required. Everyone very, very clear on what their role, what their job is. But the gas in the tank, how much is left in the Mount Albert Lions with all the D that's been caught upon. 269 to 175 tackles by the Bulls. That's a big disadvantage, Coops.
Yeah, it's interesting also to note the error rate of 9 each, and in really blustery conditions is pretty good for a final.
Add the missed tackles, though. Mount Albert 24 to Canterbury's 8.
22-10 with 16.5 minutes to play. Here's Paul Fisiahi. Somebody needs to spark this Mount Albert team into attack, and it may well be him. He's got plenty of 4-pointers today. Robinson Godfrey's got the ability to turn a game as well.
Well, it's not outside their reach. It's 16 minutes.
Intensity is what it's all about at the moment. Desperation as well. It might be another term to use appropriately in this scenario. O'Regan gets him in good field position. 10 from the try line. What have they got up their sleeve as Buckingham works it wide through Peninara? He gets it on. The grubber kick is good. The try is scored. Fisiahi is there. Godfrey with the grubber. Fisiahi with the collect. And the Lions are well back in the hunt.
Nice play, Mount Albert. They put themselves in good position, and they'd be able to come up with a play that mattered. They had the numbers on the left-hand side, but you can see the wingman. He's coming up. Yet to turn, so he read it well, put it to ground, and well regathered there to find the 4-pointer.
Yeah, that's not always hard to do. Pete picked the ball up when you're moving at great pace, as Fishiashi was. So it was well finished off by him. A good little sneaky one in behind by Robinson Godfrey.
It's a hard one, I think, when you've got 2 or 5 on your back. You've got to make decisions, and you've got to ensure more often than not that you make the right ones. If you put yourself in no man's land, then you find yourself doing nothing, just looking at what goes by. On that occasion, he needed to get in, make a call, either can the play or be able to turn back and get back and recover the kick. Well done, Mount Albert. You're back in the game. We could very well have game on.
They will be if this kick goes over.
Very much so, Shane. We've seen a couple go over from wide out. Not from the other end, I might add, because that's up against a stiffish sort of breeze. But Paul Fisiahi, top try scorer in this Mount Albert Lions team. That's his 19th try for 2005.
We've already talked about the quality of these two sides, and maybe it's credit to both of them that either side have not been able to take their opposition out of the game. Both of them have been able to stay in. Both of them have had periods of play or passages of play where they've been in charge, been on top. Are we about to see a turn again with Mount Albert? And the kick unsuccessful. What have we got there, guys? 8 points separating them.
14.5 minutes to play. These two proud clubs. And as Dennis mentioned at the start of our program, this is the last time you'll see this bartercard in this format. They'll be bringing a couple of other regional teams in to the comp next year.
Yeah, once again, Dale, it's been a great competition, hasn't it? And there's a lot of clubs that have put their hand up this season. The North Harbour side's done really well. First time that they've been in the playoffs. As we see a Ricochet Gomena out its way there. I thought Hibiscus Coast also got themselves off the bottom of the table. The previous season done really well. The Central side had their best finish of the season. And a lot of clubs that really have their hands up high. Glenora come good second part of the season.
And of course we saw the Jets coming through as well in the latter part, so he's missed out on the finals appearance.
And with 30 minutes on the clock, we talk about who now is going to be your go-to, who's going to come up with the specials. Fisihahi could be on one on the other side, Buckingham maybe with a kick game, but look to number 7, Bernard Perenara. I think he's the one that something could come from.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if that's a kick that Steve Buckingham wanted. I think he would have preferred it to stay in the field of play and make Canterbury slog it out, especially with the clock running down now.
It's also maybe sometimes that when you've been called along to do a lot of work, they're feeling the pinch a little. Mount Albert just gives them a time to defend from a set position, consolidate. Yeah, you got to find some calm. You got 12, just under 13 minutes. This is your last chance. Now you got to defend strongly.
Well, we saw there the urgency, didn't we, with the Mount Albert scrum packed very quickly to the point where it forced referee Glenn Black to call time off because, quite obviously, the Canterbury Bulls didn't share their enthusiasm to get set as fast. And why would you when you're ahead by 8 points and you're trying to defend that? But referee Glenn Black wasn't going to be manipulated in such a way. Immediately called for time off, but the Bulls with the ball now, and they've got numbers here out wide as they get it out to James Ward. James Ward's got a runner on the inside who he overruns or avoids in a way. Not too detrimental to the overall yardage he was seeking. Chris Newton, he's been well wrapped up, Chris Newton, today by the Lions, aware of his array of skills as we play into the 5th and final tackle for this set. And it comes across to James O'Brien. O'Brien was looking to get it away, but he couldn't, and he was hammered by the man who has that name. They call him the Hammer, Hamish Reid. And Jimmy O'Brien, you're all about that.
The big play, and something often can come out of those sort of plays because they're motivational, they're inspirational to those around you. Now you've got a chance.
Here's Taliapa. He straightens the Mount Albert fans, realising the urgency with which this team must operate now. As he comes back now to the man from the back, Andrews Bauer. Bauer is about 5 minutes short of the halfway. Regan Wigg looking to return. Another penalty. Momentum starting to swing.
And the hooker there, Wigg, entitled to a bit of a rest. 41 tackles to his credit. It's a lot of work for the number 9.
Yeah, well, he continuously does it, Pete, week in, week out. We've seen him do it in this competition. His first break he's had. What have we got, 11 minutes left on the clock?
And all sorts of concern down sideline there for the hooker, for the Canterbury Bulls. Shane Byers, the captain, running repairs as he comes back on. Sorry, it's not James O'Brien.
Jimmy O'Brien, I think he might have had a blood nose, Pete. Just took a little bit of a knock. Taliapa steers it back on the inside now with Sheed. Sheed wanting to get to his feet, but they wouldn't let him. The referee will penalise him.
What'd you do here, Pete? 10 minutes to go, an 8-point difference. Would you kick for goal?
I probably would.
The next one will be sitting down.
It's nice and simple.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you for the reaction, Goops. This is when you got to be so careful because the temptation to want to go on and score that 4-pointer but sometimes takes what you got. You still got minutes. You can come back.
Yeah, 10 minutes is a lot in the game of rugby league, and I think Buckingham's made the correct decision, along with you, Pete, to kick for goal.
Geez, I feel so relieved I passed the test. You had me sweating, Coops.
Pass it on.
Well, it's a funny thing. There is no formula for it, is there? You so often ask, well, what would you do here? And they do exactly the opposite to what you think you would do. I'm a big fan in finals football of collecting twos when they're there, especially early in the game. We've seen it in both finals today where they've opted not to.
Yeah, especially a time like that, Dale. It's a bit of a calming influence on the men out side. Well, hopefully it will have, because they had to score twice. Now they're at the stage where they only have to score once.
Exactly, and it's removing one of those things out of your mind. Your thinking prior to that conversion was two things. I needed a two-pointer and I needed to score a try. Now I've only got one thing to think about. I need to score a try and be able to convert.
And I need to score that try, as you say, close to the post. So when the boys do get close, that's where they'll decide to angle to, one would hope. I mean, footy, you take them when you can get them, but if you can, cross close to that goalpost, then that's what you'll be wanting to do in the next play. So 9.5 minutes to do just that.
And the most important thing as well, there is no tomorrow. This is it. This is where you either take away the trophy or you sit back and watch the opposition do what you wish you could do. Time on.
It's great that the games have ended up this way. I mean, we've been treated to some fantastic finals, haven't we, Shane, when we look back over the past 5 years?
Yeah, some absolutely beauty games. As we tell Tally Papa, making some good inroads up the middle of the park. There's no better finals than the one that go right to the wire either, Dale.
Well, this thing looks as though it's shaping up for maybe even extra time. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but certainly a six-pointer would force something of that nature. This is searching for a 40-20. Has it got the legs? It will stay in the field of play, and it's taken by Harrell at the back. And they're quickly there too through Taliapa, who makes the tackle. Didn't even get to the 10-metre line, Harrell, but that was no fault of his own, just spirited defence, as you can see. It's becoming more and more evident. Backs to the wall for the Mount Albert Lions, the defending premiers.
Well, if you're going to have a charge of this one now, your defence has to be solid. You've got to chase it, and you've got to be able to lock them down. If you're in with a shot, this is it.
There's 4 on the set. This will be play number 5 from Byers. He runs into a brick wall in the form of Matty Arceau.
Because as the clock goes down, it's all about field position now, all about where you end up. And unfortunately, that's under pressure.
Referee asks for a turnover. Mount Albert in good strike zone. 22-16, under 8 minutes to play as the ball play back for Bernard Petanara. Onto the hard-working Danny O'Regan. He's 35 and 10 in from the eastern touchline. He gets to his feet quickly. Taliapa through Buckingham. Buckingham to Hamish, Reed or Hammer. And he is closed down. Well, what seemed rather awkwardly, but he's got a heavily strapped thigh. Up the inside, they come for Patrick Arvan! Arvan is there! Patrick Arvan is there!
Now he's had a hamstring problem all season, Dale, and he's just pulled up there with another injury. I wondered why he didn't go under the bar with the try, but he's just relieved to get to the try line.
He may be feeling the pain down there in the end goal area, but I can assure everybody out there I'm surrounded by Mount Albert people. I got the stats man, Jeff. He's on fire.
All good people.
Well, he was struggling when he got the ball, wasn't he? You can see him there. Where's he pulled his CEO? I mean, he's really struggling. We're saying, why didn't he come around to the left? I think, like you say, Shane, he was just happy to get to the line, let alone bring it around and improve the kicking possibilities.
But what we got there is probably a suggestion that maybe it's not his hamstring, but maybe a bit of cramp that's going on as well.
With a bit of cramp in the stomach of the Mount Albert supporters too.
Well, they'll be clenching their abdominal muscles through this kick as he lines it up.
And it hits the upright, can you believe it? Well, you better believe it, because if you're watching down in Christchurch, your team's got a 2-point advantage. Can they hold on? 6 minutes to play, 22-20.
And more importantly, for Mount Albert, Patrick Arvan's limping back into the field of play. Rowan Baxter's out of the game, one of their speed merchants, so Patrick's just going to have to battle on best as he can as he's limping back here.
And what you've got now is a try to win the game, as opposed to maybe just seconds ago with the possibility that he would have converted. A drop goal would have won it. Now a try is required by the Mount Albert side. The Bulls, they're in charge. They need to get up there now. Find that aggressive defense that they brought to it in the opening stanza of the second half.
Come here, come to me, Chris.
That's Hamish Reid. This is Sheed. He has tried hard all game. Regan, 24 tackles. He's played his heart out today, the second rower for the Mount Albert Lions, who find themselves on the halfway. Play on, says the referee. Here's Petanara. He gets it on to Bauer. Tap on still alive for Mount Albert. Back to Harry Aunga. Jimmy O'Brien and James Ward say, no way, Jose, halt. Plays the ball back now for Fisiahi. He gets it across to Buckingham, who puts it high and wide. And where are the chases? The ball's been knocked down. Mount Albert should come up with it. They certainly should get the scrum feed. They do. Mount Albert with the scrum feed. 4.5 minutes to play.
Scrum field and everything you want about field possession, because you're now set up. What is running through the minds of the Lions players right now is, what is the set play we're going to do? Referee Black calls a hold to play.
Don't go early, Daniel. Let's go.
What is the play?
Here's the look. Petanara's got the ball. He gets it out. He finds Godfrey. Robinson Godfrey goes wide. And there's Andreas Bauer. Try saving, perhaps game saving tackle from the Bulls. Who's got the ball? Knock on, the Bulls get the scrum feed. What you thinking, Pete?
I'm not quite sure if I agree with that one. I'd look forward to seeing a replay on that one. I saw a Bulls player attack the football. I would have thought he would have knocked it on. Mount Albert looked to recover. Coming out of the acting half there, the defensive player, the Bull, he knocks it forward there. He now looks to recover. And the Mount Albert Lion player comes up with the ball. Not quite sure if I agree. Big play, big call. 3 minutes on the clock.
Big call. Well, they'll discuss that one for a long time if this scoreline ends as it's set at the moment. Alex Timor getting some attention from Artie Sheed.
Exciting in the modern day game of rugby league is now when you look to the clock and you say you got 3 minutes, you start figuring how many sets of 6 each side has got to play in this Bartercard Cup final.
Palanisi gets the ball back to Byers. They won't do much with the ball. They don't need to. It is the 5th and final tackle. And wide they come. Onto the boot of Ulungia. This comes up kindly on the far side for Robinson Godfrey, and he is talented, but he can't get away this time. Patrick Arvan's gone into dummy half. 2.5 minutes to play. Arvan with the angle. Where are his teammates? This is going to have to be something special as they come the far side of the field. Quick play the ball. That's 3 gone. Taliapa gets it to Petanara. Petanara tries to punch a hole himself, but that hole closes quickly as Byers is there to make sure he can't get through. Now with Sheed. I called him Artie, that's his brother. It's actually Phil. 5th and final tackle now for the Mount Albert Lions, the defending premiers. What's on the end of the kick? There is the kick. It's too deep. It's taken easily at the back by Moneyhitter.
Yeah, questionable whether or not it was too deep. It certainly wasn't high enough to allow the chasers to put any form of pressure there on the receiver of the ball. The Bulls now with just under 2 minutes. They need to play out their sets of 6. On the other hand, you got the Lions looking for possibly a steal here. 1-on-1, go for it. But they've got to force the error. If they force the error, they might get 1 set of 6.
Well, it's the 5th, 4th. This is the 5th now, so they will get another set. And again, we hark back to the try. It was a wonderful try by Patrick Arvan, but had he have been able to come around closer to the posts, the Mount Albert Lions wouldn't be looking at such a desperate situation as what they face at the moment. As Robinson Godfrey has tried hard.
And big concern for the Mount Albert Lions. Buckingham escorted off the field, carried off. They're going to go without their playmaker for the last minute or so in this game.
On it comes to Fisiahi. He goes sideways, trying to find a hole, Paul. He can't. We're into the last minute of Bartercard Cup 2005. There is 2 points in the match. 22-20, and still they keep coming, the Lions, and still they don't give up. Here is Wing. Where's his runners? Here's Perenara. He must keep the ball alive. Play on, says the referee. There was a hand. It must be 5 more. It is 5 more. This is Andreas Power.
He needed help from his touch judge then to get that one going. They hit the 10-metre.
Now it's with the 12. That's O'Regan. This is Taliapa. Inches away from the try line. 20 seconds to play in the final. Across it comes to Sheen. Sheen straightens. Sheen is grounded. There is 10 seconds to play now. As the Bulls, can they hold out Mount Albert? There's the pass. There is the try. There is the victory. The Lions win Bartercard Cup.
And everyone's jumping up sideline. What a finish. What a finish to a wonderful game of footy for the Mount Albert Lions. It's been awarded. And you don't need us to tell you what's going on.
Could it have been any closer? The look of the Canterbury Bulls. They hang their heads. They had it, and it was taken from their grasp in the last second of the game.
The last second of the game, and I thought it had gone the wrong play. Sheed, the front row forward, had taken the ball. There was one play left on the back of it. I thought they would have gone wide, but he took it. Then Bernard Perenara, he stepped up. With Buckingham off the field, they needed a go-to. They needed someone to lead them. Perenara did exactly that. The Canterbury Bulls, absolutely courageous, outstanding contributors to this game of football here this afternoon. So easy to overlook their contribution to this game, but right now, it's Mount Albert.
What a game it has been here. There's Patrick Arvan, his smile as wide as the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Well, you don't see that sort of emotion too often from our Kiwi coach, but what a win, Peter Ropati. What a match.
Well, it makes football and makes sport so special when you get those sort of games. And right now, my heart is going with the Canterbury Bulls. To lose a game in those circumstances and seconds remaining on the clock, when you've done more than enough to win a game of footy. I feel nothing but absolutely sympathy for them right now. But for Mount Albert, that's what makes sport and what makes this competition, and in particular the 2005 final, something that they'll long remember. Specials when you win a game, when you go 79 minutes and 50-odd seconds to win the game of football, something you remember. But Canterbury, stand up, feel proud, because you played some wonderful football here this afternoon.
So often in these circumstances, it's the pictures that tell the story, and I'll leave you to enjoy just some of them, the post-match celebrations and commiserations of a classic Bartercard final won by the Lions in the last second of the game, 24-22 over the Bulls.
Big Phil Sheeds. Phil, what was going through your head with a couple of minutes to go?
The boys just really gave it their all. The whole season's been based after one of our best players in our team, Paula Tenisini, passed away. We played the last 10, 15 for him. Everyone just really put it in. They were really stoked.
And wasn't it a tight match right the way through, and nothing that I suppose you didn't really expect? It's been tight all season for you.
Yeah, that's right. Canterbury, they deserve to be here. Any team could have won today. Unfortunately, the weather let us down. But both teams were great sides with the ball. but I guess the bounce of the ball and Paulo was on our side. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, mate.
And a good feeling to take the last Bartercard Cup trophy under your wing?
Oh, is it what? You know, like we've had goals all the way through the year. The first one was to get the Root Rooster, then to get the minor premiership, and now to pull this off just to cap the great season off. It's unbelievable.
And your season hasn't finished yet. You've got a couple of games in the Bartercard select team. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh, I sure am. You know, I'm looking forward to playing against some of the players. I mean, playing with some of the players that are playing for Canterbury and just getting a good feeling with the New Zealand team and just going over there and getting a win under our belts.
Well, thanks for talking to us. Go and enjoy it.
Thanks very much, Shane.
Yes, Phil Sheed, the Ken Sterling medal going his way for the man of the match performance. Canterbury taking it, losing, I should say, to Mount Albert 24-22. Well, Mount Albert have done it. They pulled it off right on the buzzer of full time. 24-22 over the Canterbury Bulls. They've got bragging rights, 3 victories to Canterbury's 2. And Dale Husband, you commentated the very, very first game. You commentated the very last game in this particular competition format. And they're just all so exciting.
Just love finals, mate. You cannot. There is nothing like finals football, Dennis.
Nerves are shot.
Well, you think you're gone. You think you're gone, but there's just something. These guys grab something from within and give us these classic finishes. That's the 5th close final in a row, and Bartercard Cup finals, mate. They're just something else.
And it's amazing to see that you know, throughout the game, of course, Phil Prescott and Blue McLennan, just nice words at the end of the game, and see them just, you know, friendly as chats.
I don't know, friendly as chats might be taking it a bit far, but no, there's a mutual respect for the 2 coaches. Both of them at the top of their game, as is evident by the appointments that they have received.
One of the New Zealand residents, that's Phil Prescott. 9 players actually from down sideline, of course, involved in Phil's team, and Bluey, of course, will be focusing now with the Kiwi team.
Well, here's the chief, of course, Mr. Tuimavave in there, and these guys are able to celebrate, but, you know, just 2 seconds more and they might not have been, or 2 seconds less and they might not have been. That really was just so very close, and I feel for the Canterbury boys. I have a lot of admiration for Phil Prescott, what he's done with them. I mean, there's the look of a guy saying what might have been. I know. It's just it's unbelievable. Now, what do the Canterbury team come away with? They come away with their mana intact, and they'll be back again, you know, equally as strong. Remember a couple of seasons ago, they had 1 year where they really couldn't put it together. Phil Prescott rebuilt the team from scratch, took them up and put them at the top of the table again, and so they'll be back to fight another day. And Blue McLennan, with Mount Albert, you think for him maybe just focus on the Kiwis, or you think he'll be back with Mount Albert in the new format next season? You know, part of Bluey's appeal to our overseas professional-based footballers is going to be his enthusiasm. Now, that was unbridled joy that he displayed at full time, and I think that if you show emotion sometimes to the players that you're asking that sort of emotion from, then they can relate to that, and you know, it's different than having a sort of stoic way about him, and you know, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think it's good. It's a bit like Ricky Stewart across at the Roosters as well. And with interesting what Phil shared, of course, acknowledging Paolo Tenicelli, and I thought that was a really nice touch. The boys really playing for him today. Well, look, you know, it really is a sad situation. You don't expect fit young athletes and 2 of our stronger men to pass away in a season. To lose Ben Vellini and Paolo Tenicelli is a reminder of just how you know, how short life can be,